is chemical, emotional. It is an absolute drug. It will make you do things that you never thought. Swim oceans, climb mountains. I would kill for you, right? I would marry you.
We're going to do a ceremony where you take your vows back. I will not honor and cherish you, and I will not hold you when you're sick, and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of the unvowing, her father took her back up the aisle.
We're all brought up with the happily ever after myth. Marry and you're going to live happily ever after. So we really have these deep expectations. But in America, statistically, it's one divorce every 36 seconds. We're an evolving species. We're getting more conscious about how we're doing everything. Why not divorce? It's time. We're long overdue for this evolution.
I'm Charlotte, and I'm not what you would call the marrying kind. Like most of my generation, our lives have been blighted by someone's divorce. Okay, take these guys, look at them in the first throes of love. They're so crazy in love that they don't even care that it's freezing and raining. She's going to take the kids, he's going to take the money, he's going to run off with a hot blonde. It's all over. I give it 5 years. The reality is that 50% of first marriages end in divorce. Divorce is almost as normal as marriage, and that means the divorce industry is booming. It's worth billions.
I may sound bitter, but as a child of a broken home, I can personally vouch that divorce sucks. However, there's a sea change happening. There are people at work to make breaking up more positive and profitable, and it's starting in the USA. More money passes through family law courts in America than all the other courts combined. According to the most recent economic census data, the highest demand in dating services comes out of New York City. And behind the high demand lies a trail of heartbreak, making the Big Apple the heartbreak capital of the USA. Finding new ways of dumping each other is a fledgling market where there's no shortage of catastrophe to cash in on. We're here to find out just how enterprising the breakup industry can be. When you call it quits on your relationship and the tragedy of your failed attempt at love sets in, the first person you call might be your lawyer, your traditional ally for fighting over the kids and the DVD box sets.
We're Long Island's largest divorce and family law firm. We're always ready to fight, and we're always prepared to act immediately. It's your life. Let us make you our top priority.
Brian Salamone, self-proclaimed Rain Man of divorce, who prides himself on being one of New York State's top divorce lawyers. But it's his unconventional lifestyle which precedes him.
First time I met Ryan, the motherfucker had on a shirt with a hole in it so I could see his watch. So I knew there was a bigger pimp on the bull run than me.
Take your ice.
He just shit on everybody. It shit, you know? Woo! It's cold.
Which is why he invited me to meet him at a multi-million-dollar supercar rally charity event in his hometown of Long Island.
And you'll see us as car number 1 on Gold Rush in 2014.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was the most wonderful time of the year, Christmas, and Brian's efforts to counter the glitz and excess came into play, with his annual donation of toys for underprivileged children at an event run by the US Marine Corps Reserves.
Can we get up on top? Let's do that.
I'd like to know, how many miles per hour does it go?
We've gotten it up to 213.
Vroom! Wow.
Mimi has this cleavage, show them. And that just makes for a better Christmas.
There's like kids and tits and like loads of people taking pictures of the cars, rich people in their cars. It's all in the name of fun. I'm having fun, I suppose.
Not even the sub-zero temperatures could dampen Brian's festive spirits. Off he went into the Long Island sunset in his gleaming Lamborghini. Brian invited me to his office the following morning to learn more about the New York divorce industry, which clearly seemed to be working in his favor. So how much money is flying around in the New York divorce industry?
New York divorce industry, that's billions of dollars. That's thousands of millions. Billions with a B.
What do you say to people who would say that, you're like misery profiteering?
The first quick answer would be, the oncologist who gets the cancer patient is not happy the patient is coming to him. But there are 4 distinct reasons to get divorced. If you're unhappy, life is short. Pursue happiness, come and see me. Unhealthy, if you're the victim of abuse, if your spouse is abusing drugs. Inappropriate, if he's cheating on you, if your young children, if your daughter is looking at you and saying, Mommy, why does Daddy treat you like that? And unsafe. There are people die in unsafe, abused, battered marriages. So divorce is no longer a bad thing. And I became a much better divorce lawyer after I went through a divorce. And it rocked my world. Till death do you part. I'm not dead, she's not dead, yet we're not together.
So what's your opinion of marriage now?
I don't have a great opinion of marriage. If you're with someone, ask yourself, why do you need to legitimize it as a marriage? If you're doing it for a tax break or it's the next thing to do, jumping on a bandwagon, having some sort of self-indulgent party to celebrate your love, there are other things to do with your life. When you're 25, you're a different person when you're 35. There's lost opportunities. So often marriage, I think, is ill-conceived, and it fascinates me that marriage still exists as an institution.
Brian's solution to divorce is simply not to get married in the first place. But the people who basically popularized marriage have something to say about this. To restore faith in the sanctity of marriage, the Church is enlisting the help of Catholic psychiatrists. I was blessed enough to meet one myself.
Literally, we look to Jesus, and that gives us a standard of humanity against which we can judge every other human being to find out where are the distortions or disorders.
What is the Church's position on divorce?
There really can be no such thing as divorce. Marriage, by its very nature, is a bond that 2 people enter into, and they say the words, "till death do us part." And if that really happens, then it's actually impossible for that to be broken apart.
Looking at the way things are going now, divorce is getting more and more popular to the point that fewer people are even choosing to get married in the first place.
The way things are going is there's a rift between sensibility and humanity, and then on the other side, absurdity. Okay, we look at the Kardashians and we look at all these celebrities. Nobody chose to go look these people up as models, and it's in our face everywhere. Other people are deciding who we look up to as models.
After more than a decade of marriage, Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin are what they call consciously uncoupling.
This idea that we can neatly package and label divorce and call it conscious uncoupling.
They took their time of personal heartache and they used it to really introduce a whole new way to end relationships that's healthy and less contentious.
We're going to label it and package it into something attractive, healthy. Like this is a holistic way to live. This is absurd. Our generation is being force-fed a lie that we're not good enough, because this is where people are making money. So our generation needs to stop and get angry about that.
I left the church feeling like I should brush up on my celebrity gossip. I hadn't seen enough Keeping Up with the Kardashians to keep up with the Catholics at all. As ever, led by the whims of celebrity, the heartbreak industry knows no bounds when it comes to creative breakup ceremonies.
Yes, Robin Thicke isn't drowning in his sorrows. He jumped back into the dating pool by throwing himself wait for it, a divorce party.
We're in New Jersey. I'm going to meet a man who throws reverse wedding parties.
Some people will call them divorce parties, and that sort of gives the wrong connotation. We like to call them freedom fests, because they're much more about what's about to happen.
On the second floor, there is a 22-foot-high grand ballroom, completely soundproofed, holds 600 people. Yeah.
Cool.
This is one of those things that can be, okay, I've gotten past a rough patch in my life. I want to celebrate what's next. No one's celebrating the end of a marriage. No one wants to do that. But the people who decide, hey, this was a long process of getting separated, it's sort of inviting your friends and family so they know you're okay.
It's not just a marriage industry anymore, is it? It's like a wedding industry and a divorce industry.
Yeah, in your 30s, in your 40s, maybe even beyond, you seem to celebrate things a lot less. This is probably the next party. What you spend on that, I would guess you could probably, depending on the size of your group, spend anywhere between $5,000 and $30,000.
Along with the party comes the trimmings. Headless groom cake toppers, target practice party games, penis piñatas, and all sorts of interesting favours to mark the special occasion. More like reliving your hen night than raking over the coals of your failed nuptials. I wanted to know more about Brian and Davina's relationship, so they invited me to spend some quality time with them at their home in Long Island.
Hey, thanks for having me. You look so beautiful. I feel so boring.
I hope to learn the secret to their successful relationship, which was not held together by marriage.
When did you guys meet?
8 years ago.
Yes.
Can you tell me about when you first met?
Most people think it's mail order, but that's not true.
Why do they think that?
Just joke. I was in a restaurant, and the restaurant was known for, you have to buy a table there for $26,000 a year to even be admitted into this restaurant. So it's for very wealthy people. And I was walking through hoping to find a very beautiful woman, and I saw her, and I just looked, and I had this feeling that this woman would ruin my life because I would never be single again. That would be it. And then she said these words. She looked at her plate, and she looked up, and she said, "These French fries are made from potatoes."
Real potatoes.
I just thought that was the stupidest thing I ever heard. I got an instant erection. I was like, oh my God, this one's for me. So I sat down, and I'm talking to her, and there she is, and I'm just in love. And she goes, "Don't look." And I go, "Why?" She goes, "That woman has the same dress as me." It was a mirror.
It's a mirror.
It was her reflection. I was just, I was smitten. I must have her. This is the most amazing woman I've ever met in my life.
Because
And,
that was like too ridiculous and made you laugh, or?
I just thought it was just amazing.
Charming.
I just couldn't believe that someone would be that stupid in a fun way. We did a few dates. I fall and I break my arm. I got a cast. She found it sexy and would jump up and on top of the cast naked and cause the bone to keep separating. And I kept having to go to the doctor because the cast would have to be redone.
You could not resist that cast.
So sexy.
I'm afraid to take her near a hospital. She looks at guys with casts. I'm like, stop, can you stop it?
Wow, that's a unique fetish. I've never thought about it. So you've been together for 8 years.
It's a long time to stay with someone. We'll argue to the point where she cries, and that'll turn me on.
I see. Totally ridiculous.
People think, whatever, we're in love. This is what we do. We're together, we're dynamic.
I couldn't leave the Salamone compound without getting a tour of Brian's supercar garage.
This weather. Jesus. Is that good? Is that a healthy sound?
That's just fine. It actually blows fire out the back. This is some of the stuff that we've done. Some magazines, some rallies. The car was in the gumball. This one right here was the 50 Cent shoot.
Meeting you and Davina, I can understand when people look at this, they think, oh, you know, he's got the gold-digging, big-titted blonde in the car, that's what they're going to say. But, you know, it's not like that. What you have is clearly much deeper than that.
And even if it wasn't, everybody deserves to pursue happiness. But a lot of people would say it's not for them. It's for me, though, so that's that. And I can make this work, and I can help people doing this, and it's a great pastime that keeps me and my woman so happy together for 8 years, right?
Brian has no plans to make an honest woman of Davina, but their living in sin seems to work for them. They certainly appeared happier after 8 years than any married couple I can think of. Before I could leave New York, I had to experience perhaps one of the most bizarre businesses that's come out of the heartbreak industry.
I'm headed to upstate New York to visit something called the Divorce Hotel. It's a fairly new concept which has only recently been introduced in the country. It basically takes the idea that a divorce has to be this protracted, painful process and flips that on its head.
Divorce Hotel is a concept where you check into a luxury hotel on a Friday, married, and you check out on a Sunday, divorced. The first thing we do is we have a consultation with a lawyer who's not representing either of them, but will give a full review of the law in whatever state they're in. So once we've had that consultation, we dig in. Instead of two lawyers writing letters back and forth, which is just ridiculous, we just sit down and do it together.
So then financially, how much can people save?
The Divorce Hotel costs all included about $5,000. I've read that the national average cost is $15,000, but I don't think that's true. I think it's much higher than that. $60,000, $100,000, you hear horror stories. You just have to be two smart people who realize this is such a better way to go.
It was my turn to indulge in some me time at the Gideon Putnam Spa and Hotel. Even though I couldn't find anyone to divorce me, I was more than happy to play the role of long-suffering wife if I was getting a free massage out of it.
So this is the spa at the hotel. This is one of the things they recommend you do when you're having your divorce weekend, which is probably a good idea because if I was actually getting a divorce, I'd probably need a massage, right? And in here, it looks like they're going to wash away my sins. Bye.
I began to feel like a pampered, blushing bride. The setting was slightly reminiscent of The Shining at times. Where better to murder your soon-to-be ex? I wondered what sort of couple could benefit from this romantic weekend away, only to split up forever. Luckily, two very new-age Americans were willing to explain exactly how this had worked for them, as they returned to Divorce Hotel to share their story of how marvellous it was to legally separate in style.
Can you face reliving it? Can you talk me through the weekend a little bit?
Sure.
Do you mind?
Yeah.
It is Divorce Hotel at the Gideon Spa, and there is time for downtime, take a spa, walk around, but it was 2.5 long days.
You hung out?
We did.
We did.
We went walking. The grounds are just beautiful here. We went to a local restaurant. We had fun.
The Divorce Hotel was the right solution financially, but did it also help you emotionally?
It did for me. When the reality sets in of this is what's going on in your life right now, and you can take it head on, you could hide your head in the pillow and cry. It helps in that there's a structure to it. You know what's coming, you know what's set up this day, and then you're going to be walking outside and upstairs and signing the paper, and you're done.
Do you think people just need to be more realistic and that we need to think, okay, marriage isn't forever?
It did save our relationship to an extent. So we can focus on our kids and be the best parents that we both can be for our children.
It's not for everybody, but it's a $150 billion industry, and if it works for 5% of the population, 10% of the population, I would recommend it.
Divorce Hotel is a glamorous getaway that seems successful at maintaining friendships after a divorce. But surely if you can still spend a weekend away together, let alone stand being in the same room as your spouse, maybe you shouldn't be divorcing in the first place. There's no end to how retail therapy can heal a breakup, especially if you want to get back into the dating game ASAP.
When you go through a breakup, sometimes you want to do something drastic, like cut your hair. But when you're a millionaire divorcee, you go to Dr. Undo Tattoo, who will completely rejuvenate your look for the dating market, give you Botox, filler, and remove your tattoo of your ex-husband or wife.
If you really want to get back into the dating scene, you want to look vital, especially now, people are getting divorced at an older age. I had an 80-year-old get divorced. I have a lot of people my age in their mid to late 50s getting divorced, and they want to re-enter the dating game, and they might not necessarily want to be with the same type mate that they had. What does work nicely and very quickly is Botox and fillers.
Luckily for us, New York's #1 divorce lawyer was due for some Botox and was willing to demonstrate some of Dr. Undo Tattoo's most popular services.
So we're going to concentrate today on this area right here. We could give some Botox. Just open your
Some
eyes,
lawyers
Brian.
won't do this because it affects your expressionism. You want to be able to people to see your expressions.
He was also kind enough to arrange for his girlfriend Davina to have a conspicuous tattoo from her past lasered off. What appeared to be a giant dragon eating her abdomen.
Are a lot of your tattoo removals of like ex-spouses' names and things?
That's the third largest sector of my patient population. Sometimes it could be like a commemorative tattoo or something that they both enjoyed at one time, and now it's a constant reminder. Here we go. Okay, I'll try to get that. I'll try to get that as soon as we can. Okay, that's it for that. It's exploding the cell of the ink.
When you're this close to it, there's a smell of the skin being
Yeah.
You're getting it.
Davina, are you going to get a new tattoo?
No. Only if I get a billionaire.
Love, sex, and money go hand in hand. Even after thousands of years of partnering, arguably many of us do still hook up for economic and security reasons, even if it's rarely happily ever after. The more we evolve, the less we seem to learn from the lessons of the past. We can't resist tying the knot in spite of the high probability of it all ending in tears. New York showed me that the demand for breakup services isn't going away anytime soon. Repackaging heartbreak doesn't make the process any cheaper, but it can make it more bearable, removing the stigma of divorce for future generations. And that's invaluable.